And welcome back. Now, before we get into the meat of the video, I just want to take a moment to say thank you to all of you guys, because recently I reached 100 subscribers, which I certainly couldn't have done if it wasn't for all of you lovely people leaving comments and hitting that like button like it's nobody's business. So thank you very much for all of your support, and please keep doing more of that. Now, this isn't going to be a full review, as I've only just completed the main storyline part of the DLC, and I haven't even touched on the many hours of content that's still there for me to check out yet, but I thought it was more than enough to be able to give you my first impressions of what the DLC is like. Now, the most obvious question that's going to be on everyone's minds, is the story actually any good? The short answer, absolutely yes, 100% yes. Quite often the stories in X games can be a little bit lacking, but that's because you're the one who's actually making the stories. You're making your own alliances, making your own enemies, and finding your own success. The universe is exactly what you make it. Whilst this is true for Kingdom End as well, at least for the first couple of hours you feel like you're part of something that's so much bigger than you are, and you're not the only character that matters in the whole storyline. You're actually part of a much wider collaboration to restore access to the Boron Queendom, and the game does a pretty good job of not straying too far from that narrative. So it goes without saying that Kingdom End is certainly one of the better story outings for the X series in quite some time, but that doesn't mean that it isn't without its flaws as well. Because there's certainly some points during the story that'll leave you scratching your head wondering how the hell it makes any sense, but for the most part it's definitely a positive experience with a really great payoff at the end that will certainly give you that much needed fix of nostalgia that we've all been waiting for quite some time now. But the story also opens up a couple of new mysteries, such as who left the clues for you to find in the first place, and who built Stargates. I wonder if they're maybe setting up a story for a future game or a future DLC perhaps, because I'd certainly love to see a game focused on perhaps who built the Stargates. I think that'd be a really interesting concept. So I think I've gone on long enough about this story, but what about the graphics? Are they any good? Well, there's certainly nothing groundbreaking going on here, but then again the X games never really were famous for their groundbreaking graphics. But with the 6.0 update, there is certainly a very noticeable improvement with the graphics. I think one area of graphic design in this DLC really excels are the Boron ship designs. They look absolutely incredible with their long, sweeping lines and ergonomic design. They're really a feast for the eyes. Even the Boron ship interiors look absolutely incredible with a lot of attention to detail. I did notice one kind of negative thing though, and that's that some of the rooms on the Boron ships and stations seem to be reused assets from other areas in the game. I understand that it was probably easier to just do that rather than completely design the whole new rooms, but it does kind of detach from the feeling of being on an alien ship when you're suddenly in a not so alien looking room. Now moving on to the gameplay, is it actually any good? Well, the gameplay in Embark Kingdom End certainly seems to lend itself quite well towards a much more beginner-friendly experience than perhaps we're used to from the X series of games, but unfortunately it does fall short in some areas. For example, there's one mission where you have to place down a series of nav beacons along a path through a fairly hazardous area or space, but unfortunately the game doesn't really tell you the correct way you should be placing those down. You kind of have to figure it out for yourself, and that obviously is going to lead to a lot of frustration with newer players. And there's also a diplomatic mission after the main storyline where you have to retrieve an object for the Terrans, but it doesn't tell you that you actually have to improve your relations with the Terrans first. Which means that until you do, you're not going to get the guidance marker towards the location you need to go to. Which again is going to lead to rather a lot of frustration, which isn't a good thing for new players. But overall, Embark Kingdom End is certainly a significant improvement in terms of the new player experience, as it does a pretty good job of gently easing you into the storyline with lots of fun and engaging gameplay moments leading to the big climax at the end. So if you've never played an X game before, I would say now is a pretty good time to pick it up and try it out because it's never been so accessible to new players. Unfortunately, that does come with a pretty big caveat, and that's that there is a pretty big learning curve to get over once you've completed the main storyline, and that's going to factor into my score somewhat. So, what's the verdict? Well, I'm going to give Embark Kingdom End 4 out of 5. Whilst it's a solid DLC overall that represents excellent value for money, as do most of Egosoft's DLCs as a matter of fact, it's not without its issues, as there's still a lot of quality of life improvements that could be made to the game. But as I just said, there's certainly a huge learning curve for new players to overcome once they get past the main storyline, if they want to get anywhere meaningful in the game, that is. But that doesn't mean Embark Kingdom End isn't worth buying, of course, because if you like space games and you like RTS games like Stellaris, where you have to build and manage your own empire, then Embark Kingdom End is definitely one for you. And there we have it. Do you agree with my score? What do you think of the DLC so far? Please do let me know in the comments below. I do realise I'm a few days later than most creators get into this video, but I hope you still found value in it nonetheless. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you would maybe consider hitting that nice red subscribe button down in the bottom right corner there. Maybe even a like button too. It would really mean a lot to me. So, just before we wrap things up, the winner of the trivia question from the last video is Satnomi, this guy here, who definitely didn't look it up. Shame on you, sir. Shame on you. Hopefully this next question will be a little bit harder to look up. So, if you're ready, what is the name of the system in X3 Reunion which typically had more solar power plants than any other system? Again, what is the name of the system in X3 Reunion which typically had more solar power plants than any other system? The first right answer in the comments below will get a shout out in the next video. And with that matter of business out of the way, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all again very soon. And where the hell did I leave my bowl food Pop-Tart?